Hi Capricorn, this is your reading for the week of November 3rd, or when you hear it and it resonates. And of course, it won't be for every Capricorn, but it could be Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Rising, or a lot of Cappy in your chart. Capricorn. The first image that I get with you is that it's time for you to let yourself to be bored, or being bored could be a really productive thing for you is what I'm getting. And so the image that I'm getting, it's not going to make a lot of sense to you, but the image that I'm getting is of you rushing forward to do something, and then all of a sudden something just stops you. And it's not anything from the outside. It's something inside of you that wants to stop. All of a sudden realizing how much you've been rushing. And as I say that, I'm being asked to clarify. Rushing doesn't necessarily mean doing things in a hurry. In this case, the rushing is the rushing to fill in a blank space so that you're constantly in motion. You're constantly achieving or planning to achieve. And, you know, the good thing, Capricorn, is you can work really hard and you can get a lot done. You can be you're really good doers. And what you're being asked to really consider here is the possibility that by keeping your mind constantly occupied with things to do or with doing, you're not giving yourself enough time to have no thought and no plan to let something new come in. So what I'm being told is it's good sometimes to be bored, because in the process of being bored, that's when your mind is empty and new possibilities come in. And for you, Capricorn, with the cards that I'm getting, very much this is about you learning how to create your life with more direct intention according to your feelings. You're getting here the notice and name card, and that is really basically notice anytime you are experiencing an emotion today, and then just notice the emotion. So this is very much about you getting in touch with your feelings, taking the time to slow down, and when you have an emotion, when you experience an emotion, just stop and say, oh look, there's that quality of emotion. And it can be like, oh, look, there's anger, or, oh, look, there's joy, or, oh, look, there's boredom. And just breathe and notice how it changes, because you've also got, okay, so you've got the forgiveness card, but in this context, forgiveness is not specifically the thing that I'm drawn to. And this card, what I'm being drawn to is, for today, accept that you might not be right in your perception. Even if you think you're right, allow for the possibility that you're not, and choose forgiveness. So what I'm getting here, forgiveness for me, in this context, I'm going to look at this card and I'm going to say, this is about you allowing yourself to not be right on track, to not be right within the context of it's okay to be bored, it's okay to not know, it's okay to not be doing, it's okay to not be right according to how you define right, if it's in terms of constant production and constant doing. You know, Capricorns, you're not always known to be the most emotional sign, but you actually have quite a deep well of being able to, a deep well, is that really the right term? Yes, you do. You have a great depth, but the well isn't always dug for all of you. The water is there and it's available. Thank you very much. The water is there. It's available. It's in your watershed. It's in your ground table. But sometimes what you need to do is you need to stop long enough to be able to drill down rather than constantly be moving across the surface. Thank you very much. That is really what this is about. So it's giving up the idea that keeping going on, knowing what you're doing it right, all of that stuff, that you can actually just stop and go, what if my way of thinking about the world and myself in the world can change in a way where I can experience life differently and in a way that is more delightful. I use that word, and it's not even like delight, but it's lighter and it's more in contact with your emotions, and it's slower, it's softer, and it doesn't mean to say that you won't be as productive. It just means that you'll be doing things perhaps with a different energy, with a different awareness, which might mean the line is not as direct, I'm being told. It might not be as direct as you would like it to be, but that it's important at this point to check out the currents that are happening, the air currents that are happening around you, because those are emotions, right? So the energy, the air, the movement, let yourself notice that and realize that as things are changing around you, Capricorn, sometimes what you need to do is you need to be able to get out of your own pattern of doing things in order to be able to notice what's happening and to be able to respond appropriately as you get in touch with your emotions. Now, especially what I'm just being reminded of, especially if this is a contentious emotion, if it's an emotion that is difficult for you to be with, if it's anger, if it's fear, if it's aggravation or blame or all of that stuff, it's important for you to be able to be with it in a way where you don't have to get busy to avoid it, because it's facing some of those deeper ones, some of those darker emotions in you, Capricorn, that you get to kind of, the image that I'm seeing is it's kind of like cracking the egg that you've been in, cracking the shell that you've been in, so that you can expand in ways you haven't perceived before. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that, Capricorn. I think that's pretty cool. And I think this is really saying to you, have confidence. This is what they're giving me now. Have confidence in yourself and have faith in yourself, that when you slow down and you let yourself really get in touch with the momentary emotions, the ones that are frightening you so much, you have a lot more capacity to deal with than you've given yourself credit for. And this is you really understanding that you are adulting your emotions in a way now that really, really supports your movement and your growth. So I'm going to leave you with that, Capricorn. This is good stuff. Take care.